Warning: this podcast episode discusses sensitive topics, including mental health, abuse, and suicide. The content may be distressing or triggering for some listeners. If you or someone you know is struggling, please consider seeking support from a mental health professional or contacting a crisis helpline in your area. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome to the Hard to Make podcast. I am your host, Stephanie Cherono. Here we celebrate the power of authentic conversations, and together we'll explore our challenges, growth, and emotions through powerful storytelling. Again, we are still in the series of inviting more men. We want testosterone in this energy. You understand? We want a little bit of like men here, and we're trying to also just get different perspectives from the male gender, try and figure out what they're thinking, their life, and all these things. So as to also for us to extend grace to the male gender as well. I think most often than not we find that there's a tone of aggression and expectation regarding how men should behave because we assume that they don't have any emotions. And I think I want to demystify that thought, that conclusion. And I'm having a diversity of men in this pod, men that I admire, the things that they do, how they speak, how they carry themselves. And in this particular episode, I have a friend, number one, someone who believed in me in a time that I did not believe in myself, opportunities that he gave to me that were life-changing. I believe we're going to dive into that as well. He's in the creative space. His energy speaks for itself and fills the room. And he's such a beautiful man all through. So I will allow him to introduce himself. Wow.
Who has ever described me like that?
Niaje, baby.
Hi, everybody. My name is Trevor Oisebe. I am a marketer by my 9 to 5 by day, corporate baddie. Anything past 5 p.m. I like to call myself a star actor on The Real Hostages of Good Times.
Ooh.
And I'm a content creator as well. And happy to be here.
Oh, mashallah. One thing about your skin?
It glows.
It glows.
One thing about my skin?
It glows.
CeraVe on this beat.
Period.
But also compliments to my mama because it's in the genes.
Also, your mom is absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, bless her soul.
How are you feeling today?
I'm good. I am happy to be soon winding down the year. It's been a long, I don't want to call it a tough year, but an interesting year. Very different. Lots of ups and downs. But for me, I love it that way. I prefer it that way.
In what sense?
Life, I always say that there's so much beauty in the ups and downs simply because your ugliest moments in life, in those seasons of the ups and downs, are your most beautiful moments because they're your most defining moments. And nothing for me can ever feel that way. Nothing can feel as great as an ugly moment because I get to grow, I get to reflect, I get to learn and just be better, do better through those seasons. So I think this year has been that, and I'm nonetheless, as I say, I'm ready to wind it down. I'm also like happy with how it's turned out. Yeah, I'm happy with how it's turned out. How are you?
I am good. You're the first person who's actually asked me how I am. Guys, can I go to Pacho Sweet? Perimene?
Bring me a whole bottle of wine.
Yeah, say yes.
Bring it.
I'm okay. I think we are shooting the second season. I'm also just very surprised and happy with the fact that I am here in pursuit of the second season. I think I was so wary as to how this journey was going to go again because you're stepping into new territories. But again, like you said, challenges come to make life more beautiful, more interesting. Exactly. You learn things about yourself in the moment. I think initially I was very wary of feedback because I was like, will people really like this shit? Or am I pouring? We'll also have things to talk about, guests to bring, and I think for me, I struggled with, and I'm still in the process of like working on just wanting control over certain aspects of my life, if not all of them. Yeah. And more often than not, I find myself pulling out of situations where I don't have control. And this is one of the things that I've actually just let God do his thing. Yeah. Because I'm like, siju tutafanyaje. I don't know how we're going to get there. I don't know how we're going to get these things. But luckily ni God, walai. So even like initially when we were planning this particular shoot day, I was like, I want Trevor to come. However, I know his schedule. If he doesn't show up, then I guess we're going to just have to compromise. And when you replied my message, I was like, always, thank you, Jesus.
Always ready.
I was just like, thank you for this. And again, it was also for me in that moment a test of whether I trust God to allow him to just do his thing. I reached out, I did my thing, and I was like, here, from there, you do your part. So generally, I'm in a very grateful space as well. I'm also quite tired because it's Q4. Q4 is, and I'm grateful for it being busy.
Yeah.
but it's also quite demanding. I think even getting a PA was something that I'm still adjusting to, because my crew is just like, watch a PA wako afanye kazi yake. Yeah, because me, I'll call, I'll text, I'll confirm.
When you're used to being a one-man team.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So now I'm in a space where I'm allowing myself to delegate. And when that of an idea came into my mind, I think I was fearful of, can I trust someone to be in my life like that? Because I think I'm an open book. There's nothing to hide. I won't pretend for the sake of allowing someone to exist in my space. I want you to exist and allow me to also exist in 100% of myself. So being in a space where now I am growing, the team is growing. We were just a team of 3. Now we're a team of 5, like slowly by the day, things are opening up. And also being a podcaster, a content creator, then being a makeup artist, being an influencer, also just working on my trauma. It is a lot.
The modern woman.
The modern woman.
It
is a lot. But I think at the end of the day,
business,
at the end of the day, you stay grateful and we hope for the best. And also just being present. So like in this moment, I'm just happy that we are here. I'm allowing myself to experience every single version of this season and just do my best.
And doing your best.
Yeah.
And one thing I have to say is that I'm really proud of you.
Thank you.
More coffee, please. More coffee. Because if anything, you've just let go and let God.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most important thing. Like sometimes in life, the best thing that you can ever do is to trust and just live in faith. Live in faith. The fear may be present, but overcome. Just be bold enough to overcome the fear and just do and let the things flow.
Yeah. And even if they don't work out, I think one thing that Stephanie and I live by it is everything is working in our favor. But recently we added, even those things that don't necessarily feel like they're working in our favor, they're also working in our favor.
Working in your favor.
Yeah.
Because I think also like another analogy that I have is that life is just like a big puzzle. So maybe like a 120 pieces puzzle. So if you think about it, you're going to use one wrong puzzle and place it in the wrong location. And then you undo it.
And then you realize,
the right one.
Okay,
and it's okay because that's the whole part of the process.
Yes.
Like, that's the whole part of building this beautiful puzzle that you want to see come to life.
That's a nice way to look at it. I love that. How's your heart?
Hey. Wow. Maneno ni serious huku. Heart to mic. Hey. Okay, so my heart, if I was to use one word to describe my heart is at peace. My heart is at peace.
I love that.
And it's something I prayed for this year.
Yeah.
Something that we've worked towards. It just doesn't happen.
Are we getting emotional?
Oh!
I got you. I'm here with
machozi zikianza, cut the camera, dead ass.
Huko tunapenda machozi.
Tuende na machozi too. But yeah, my heart is at peace in a very good way, in a very calming way. I think, again, given what the year has been with its ups and downs, we are finally stabilizing. Crazy enough towards the end.
Yeah.
But ndio maisha. It's not about how you start, it's about how you finish.
And also I think the Lord comes in the last hour when you think things are not about to go well. They go well at that time.
Yeah.
How did you even... So now that you're a marketer, you told us that you're a marketer. How did you get into marketing? Did you study marketing?
Ilikuwa flukes, by the
way.
Ni God, by the way.
Yeah.
Because actually, I studied business management. Did a bit of marketing in between that.
Yeah.
But really, when I started my career, my idea was... Actually, when I graduated, my idea was... Because I've always been passionate, still am. Very passionate about it. Hope to pursue it at some point. Very passionate about aviation management. So my idea was that I was going to do ops, because that's what I had really focused on while I was doing my degree in business management. Then my first job came in as a graduate trainee, and it was just a thing of like, okay, so you're doing sales and marketing, and I got in and I was like, damn, I actually really like this thing. I don't know how to explain it. I don't understand how it flows. It just comes naturally. So then that's how I ended up in marketing. I tried sales. Sales was a bit rough. Wow.
Because you actually have to produce the sales.
You have to produce numbers. You're running on numbers. At least uko marketing unaweza kusema kwa and then you make something happen. Brand awareness.
Engagement.
It's quantifiable, but not to that level.
Not to numbers level.
Yeah, not to that level. Yeah. Okay. So and also because I'm a very emotive driven person. So I think marketing comes very natural for me because I'm very emotive driven. And that's the heart and soul of marketing. So that's how I ended up in marketing. And it's been love ever since. I can't imagine a career in a different space. Even when I finally explore aviation management, that's what I want to do.
to incorporate marketing in a way.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
We met. How did we meet?
Hey. How did we meet?
I feel like my memory.
That's a good question.
Yeah, I feel like my memory is like I knew of you as like an influencer. I knew of you because of your page, and obviously he's very bubbly personality. Like I think your energy is just very radiant. You and Tara almost radiate the same vibe because Tara is just very yellow, orange, bright, pink.
So crazy how people say that because people say that we look alike, but I'm like, where?
Oh yeah.
Good morning. Hello. Can you just
alike.
open your eyes a little? Should I give you my glasses? Hello.
No, you look alike.
But okay, maybe from like hanging out together so much that you become so
similar in a way. Yeah. So your energies are very. In as much as yes, we have our days when we're panicking and everything, I feel like your energies are very bubbly. You always just look at life like a ray of sunshine. Yes. And I'm like, we all need that person. We all need that type of energy in our lives. Yeah. At the end of the day, I think most people, and I even told you earlier, most people who have such great energy, such like optimistic perspectives on life, tend to not necessarily get it in return. How do you manage to always just be happy, optimistic, bubbly, all things are going well? And you know, us on the outside, we're expecting you to show up like that all the time. Yeah. So when you're not in that space, we're just like, can you go back to normal? To normal, yeah. How are we pouring back to Trevor?
First of all, let me start by saying, hearing people speak about you, I just want to crawl under the couch and just curl like a ball. But I actually sometimes, even me myself, up to date, at this very point, I really am struggling to learn my personality. I would say by nature, I'm very extroverted. But then there are times I'm just like, human beings, I don't even want to see one of you.
Understandably
but
so.
Again, I think to not go back to your question about how do I manage, reciprocation of how I show up. Yeah. For me, first things first, it's me just showing up. I show up with no expectations or limited expectations, unless, it's a partner or unless it's like a very close friend. But then already by that time, you've gelled so much that those are things that just come, they flow. Yeah. They flow. So usually, I don't know if I really have expectations of reciprocation.
You just give.
I just give and that's the idea. But then even like sometimes I don't have anything to give. Like the tank is on E. Yeah. It's actually about to even be on reserve. And that's usually when I'm like, oh my God, I actually just like, I would like for you in this moment to be the extrovert in that very moment. Those times when you're like, I just need to retreat and revitalize and refresh and re-energize. That's now when I sit down and I'm like, okay, but I still have to be social, either from a work perspective or just like from a life perspective, showing up for family, showing up for my community. I'm like, guy, can somebody just come and be the extrovert on my behalf? So I do get those moments where I do feel like, hey, anyway, I need somebody to really
like hold on to you.
Hold on to me. So maybe I would say less of like reciprocation, but maybe somebody who's just aware of like,
this is a low moment.
This is a low moment for me.
And how would you like for them to show up in that moment for you?
So for them, to show up in that moment, I think is like carry a lot of conversation or carry like just carry the energy, if anything.
As opposed to you doing it.
As opposed to me doing it. Which, funny enough, a lot of my friends, actually my closest friends, a lot of them are introverts or like in between.
Ambiverts, yeah.
Ambiverts. And then of course I have Natasha, my soulmate, who's like so extroverted. So we just gel so perfectly. And actually if anything, she's the one who just carries me when like,
life is
my energy is just at its lowest.
At its lowest.
Yeah.
And also being like in the marketing space, you interact with a lot of influencers, different personalities, different expectations. Yeah. And more often than not, you find that the people who you are trying to procure for this influencing gig, this partnership, happen to be your friends.
Yes.
So how are we negotiating this thing for our budget is 100,000? Your friend has said she wants 200K.
Hey, wow.
And you know that your friend deserves the 200K.
Yeah.
But
at the
company,
time, you also have to think of the business.
Yeah.
You are hired by the business comes first.
Yes.
Gotta stand on business.
Yeah.
For me, with that one in particular, I am always very clear when to distinguish the hats that I wear. So it's a very difficult thing to do for sure.
I can only imagine.
But again, it's always remembering that the first thing, as you said, like the business comes first. The business is the reason as to why we even have this opportunity to negotiate, right? The brand lives on before, the influencer, but the influencer is there to keep it alive as the heartbeat. So I always ensure that the key critical points, because for me, a big negotiation point and a big negotiation factor is always take it away, zoom out a little bit, take it away from the monetary, or rather, zoom out from the monetary value, look at the non-monetary value that you're getting from this partnership. And that's usually like how I balance out my negotiation skills, because I really focus on the non-monetary value that you're going to get from the partnership. And it's a very strong way to remind, because even me sometimes as an influencer myself, I have to remind myself, okay, what else am I getting? What more value am I getting
other than the
from
money?
Am I getting products? Am I getting XYZ? And that actually is money that the brand is putting into this partnership as well. It's just that it's not been quantified over there in the contract. But again, it's still something that is being brought forward by the brand to add value to the partnership.
Yeah.
So I usually try my best to also just bring to life that perspective of the fact that like there's non-monetary value that you're really going to benefit from.
Absolutely.
And then of course, most importantly, and at the soul of it all, at the heart of it all, is just remembering the brand and how it fits into your life and why it's just the right brand for you. Like once you sell that, you're selling an emotion, and it's so much easier to buy into. So much easier.
I think what we were talking about earlier was like how we met, and I'm remembering that in February 2020.
Hey, wow, the dates are being dropped.
We are dropping.
Actually, that's the first time we met.
In person. Like properly. And it was in regards to like Shivas. You guys know that I worked with Shivas for I think about a year. Yeah. And I remember
Stella.
And if we can tell them how even the opportunity came to me, because to know that like thereafter, it was Trevor saw something in me that I didn't even at that moment see in myself. I think you had just, the way people talk about this all the time, that you will meet people in your journey of life who will see something in you and they'll be willing to put in a coin, put in just their life, their career, and take the risk to just count on you. And Trevor did that for me with Shivas. Shivas would have never happened if Trevor wasn't at the boardroom meeting saying, I think Stephanie can do it. Me, I'm there chilling in the house. And I'm like, who knows what's going to happen? And I think at that season, and that's why I feel like Shivas was such an emotional but also very spiritual partnership, because at that time I was just like, I need something and I need someone or a brand or a partnership to count on me so I can be able to execute my creativity in a way that allows me to be me. So I even appreciate the fact that Shivas came with creative freedom. Yeah. So I was just able to do my own thing. But at the end of the day, I think what even bonded us together was genuinely you bet on me. And I don't know what
do it over and over
and
again.
I don't know what the thought
capacity.
Process was. Maybe you could tell us what you saw, because me, I didn't see it initially.
First of all, for me, I just saw proper brand gelling. Like, if you guys know the story behind Shivas is a brand that really speaks to hustlers, but not your typical hustler. You're more uptown hustler. So you're a person who has come from the ground up, but like they have done it in such an unconventional way. And how I like to describe it best is, think about that corporate guy or like that startup guy who wears a suit top to bottom, and then uko chini, you're like, hey, those socks are colorful, and you're wearing sneakers too. That's what I think about as a hustler, and that's the brand. That's the brand that Shivas represented. So, or rather, that's the personality that Shivas represented. So even as we were thinking through influencers, it was how do we go the unconventional route, especially even just like having women influencing whiskey, right?
That was a big one.
And even just thinking about you, I'm like, first of all, nobody would ever think there's an intersection between whiskey and makeup, number one. But that's not the story. The story is, how did she get to be this guru at makeup, right? And that's like, when I thought about your story, I was just like, oh, the story is so powerful. There are like, it's just great. It just fits. Yeah. And that's like the brand gelling between Stephanie and Shivas. So that was number one. That was the number one factor. And then I think, I can't remember what video I watched of yours, and I was like, her creativity is just it's where it's supposed to be. She's on her Zoom, she's standing on business. Yeah. And that's also like another big thing. Like, any work you put out really sells you before you're even in that boardroom, before you're even on that deck. That work has sold you. Somebody has thought about you. Then when the opportunity just presents itself, oh, we're looking for influencers for XYZ.
This person.
I saw she did this, and like it all just comes together. And that's another thing. Like you don't realize at the end of the day that any work you put out is just so fantastic. So you're just constantly, literally putting out a portfolio that is just selling you. You don't even have to go and sell yourself. It's just selling you naturally. And then now this is where the brands come in.
Yeah.
So it's also, a big part of this is also you.
And I didn't know that at that point.
Yeah.
I think also because I was getting to a point, and I think I'm still in the transition of like, yes, makeup has been the soul and the foundation of my success. However, we're getting into a space where I want to diversify and get into different rooms and also give opportunities to young makeup artists to fill the positions that I filled.
Yeah.
But now at that point, I was like, I want to get into this influencer thing, but like I don't have any like, brands. When people say, oh, she worked with this brand, so we can definitely account for her because she has big brands on her docket. Yeah. But I was like, I don't have any of those, you know? Like, so I remember even in January, I was like, God, I don't even know what you're going to do, but like, Omo, we need a big brand.
We need a big brand.
Yeah. And in February, the end of the month, I'm sitting at a boardroom meeting with Muzon Drama Queen, and I'm just in Calligraph's PA, and I'm like, what the hell is happening?
Somebody pinch me.
And I think the reason why even I was put in a position where I had to literally exercise all my creativities because I was in room or in line with people who have already built their success in a way. Yeah. Calligraph does not need to do much. And not shit to Calligraph, but he's a superstar. Like he's taken time to build his brand. And I remember even the day we had the lunch at dinner at Local Grill, and I kept on asking him, I don't even know why I'm here. And he said, and it reminded me of a time. He was like, do you remember that time when I used to say I was the baddest rapper in Nairobi, biggest rapper in Nairobi? He was like, do you know I manifested that life? Yeah. And it was like, in a way, yes, maybe me, I said it verbally and on TV and in music videos and all these things. And in every single interview that I went to, I said calligraphy is the OG. But you have probably said it to yourself, even in private. Yes, you have probably whispered that prayer to God in private.
And that's now, where the magic happens.
And that is where these opportunities come to life, where God is like, you know what? I can see the tears you've shed. I can see the efforts that you're willing to put in. And I'm going to bring these people with their opportunities that you can merge together. True. So I was in a space where I was exercising my creativity in such a optimum way that I was like, Shivas needs to get the best of me.
And of which, honestly... She ate. What's that TikTok sound? Asifo? You'll discover or the whatever. Anyway, that sound. Yeah.
Yeah.
You really over-delivered. You gave us, and I speak on behalf of the brand in past tense because I'm no longer with the brand. Yeah. You really gave us a new lens to look at content creation from. It was like, we don't have to have this rigid way of doing. I remember when you once, like, there was one piece that you did. Again, another thing, Steph is very fearful, but her creativity is so great that it doesn't even need approval, right? Very minimal approval ever. Like even with the pieces of content that she was putting out, there was never really any need for
correction.
Approval.
It was just like add the logo,
small things, and of which that should speak to how great you are. Yeah. But like I remember her putting out or sharing a video with regard to, she was in the savannah. It was just this ethereal, like it just felt
we went
so
to
goddess like. Yeah,
my friend.
She was in the savannah. I think it was even like raining. And nowhere in our world of like this brand did we ever imagine that like this brand can exist in that setting,
in the wild,
and the story can still be brought out, and like it's still compelling. It still sold what we needed to sell. That was so beautiful, and that's even just now for me when I zoom out and look back, I'm just like, imagine just continue taking on your bets on yourself in the same way, because like those things really unlock new things. You don't even realize you're influencing somebody's thought process, somebody who's ideally supposed to be influencing your thought process. It's just beautiful to watch. So that for me, I would say you are majorly the reason why we chose to take the bet on you. But then again, your work as well. Most importantly, but also just how the brands just
merged together. It was such a lovely experience. Honestly, shout out to Shivas Panarica team for giving me that opportunity. Regardless of the fact that right now I'm on this sobriety journey, you know, like I took also a leap of faith to let go of that brand. Not only because of the fact that I think right now I have changed. Yeah. I have changed
so much.
Like,
I think that's the beauty of life.
I think sometimes I look at myself and I'm like, now who the hell are you?
As in, Yani, is this the same year?
Yeah,
are we living a different lifetime?
Even in this 2024, I've been so many different, because beginning of this year I was still working with Shivas.
Yes,
and
true.
To think that at the end of this year, we're in a whole different pathway is a testament of the fact that I'm allowing myself to morph into different versions of me. True. And not restricting myself to the confines of this is what I need to be doing to allow myself to succeed. Success can be tapped into in any
version or format or in any formula, with any formula. And actually, I have something to say about that, is that the more you take such risks where you're like, okay, and because life is that way. Life is all about seasons. We have seasons for this, we have seasons for that, we have seasons for X, Y, and Z. Yeah. Right? And the minute you allow that season to end, you're always opening the door for another opportunity to come in. You're always opening, and I think about it like this, is that you've opened your mind to now think, okay, so now what's an extra way? Because again, it all goes down to the bag.
Because I was like,
Mufuko.
Babe, Shivas was giving me money for a solid year straight. I didn't have to think about where the next check was coming from. Exactly. And also because of the fact that I was putting in my best foot forward with the content, I was almost assured, even after the first 6 months, that my contract was going to be renewed. However, I was like, okay, I think around March this year or maybe Feb this year, I was like, why are we drinking again? How is it helping us? Do we want to influence for Shivas for the rest of our lives? Is Shivas worth letting go of? And coincidentally, at the time, even the company was experiencing changes, and I was experiencing changes. And by the time the next month was coming, I remember I was just like, I think this is the end. It's time. But I remember I had so much fear. I remember even when we were shooting the last piece of content with Kina Kefa, I was just like, this is it, this is a done deal, and I can feel it in the depths of my soul that genuinely this has come to an end. However, I was scared shitless. But you did Trevor. It either way. I was scared.
And that's shitless. The thing, like when you allow yourself to just let go. Yeah. Again, going back to like a spiritual perspective, you let God, but also you get into your mind and you're like, because you see, a lot of the times people shy away from things that they need to let go of because you're like, I don't want to have to change my lifestyle. I don't want to have experience change or transition. Transition is never easy, by the way. That's, at all. Like, again, my life this year has been transitions. And that's one thing, by the way, that if I could say, and like if I could give advice to anybody, be so aware when you're going through transitions. This is a side note, by the way. But be so aware when you're going through transitions because you need to show up. You actually need to show up.
I think there's a self-talk, there's a change and a switch up in self-talk because...
But you need to wire in your system.
Completely.
Because it's demanding, and if you just endelea with life the way you endelea, as in, let's go in the wind. You will be blown with the wind. You will be blown with the wind. You'll chapa a couple. The next thing you're in a ditch. It's not cute. It's not cute. I think that you've allowed, like, that's like one of the boldest things, and maybe that's even a thing that you should be celebrating about. If anything, yourself.
That is when the ideas, the thought of starting a podcast came.
See.
It all started then.
You opened the door for something else. And something so great. Look at this. Actually, when I was watching, for example, the episode with Tara, I was like, first of all, is that my friend opening up?
And that's the thing. Like, that's the thing. Even like the previous guests that have been here, they're like, tell us what you're talking about. I'm like, I genuinely don't have like a guide. I'm not coming here with cue cards. No, I want you because we have some sort of relationship. Yeah. I want you to feel like we're having a conversation. It's just that we're having a conversation that maybe geared towards certain topics, but also to allow yourself to just flow freely in your being, because I want to show up as you. And I also want to show up as me because I'm not an interviewer. I didn't study journalism or anything. Like, I just know that I like having conversation geared towards certain things.
This is you in your natural state.
This is me in my natural state because me, I like to talk. Yeah. I'm just like, and how's your heart and how's your feeling?
And by the way, Steph, you'll be there as in Zime Lipuka, Zina Kubeba. But Steph will be like, and how is your heart? And how is your soul as a matter of fact?
How is your business? How are things? How's the family?
So precious because then you humanize life. Yes. Because a lot of the times we just exist socially, like in a very dead format, which is just like, as long as there's a conversation going on, it doesn't matter whether we're talking about Mrema,
the
Mirema,
drink.
or like whatever. Like it doesn't really matter. But like as long as there's conversation ongoing, people don't really take intentionality into conversation. And that's one thing you do. And case in point. This, by the way, you're getting the real stuff.
For real.
If you want to be her friend, just know you're being her friend through the podcast.
It's where we are. Yeah. But now back to marketing.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a side to marketing that people don't necessarily like speak on. You were the brains behind a couple of brands. Okay. And then now you had to let that go. I remember we were in conversation when you were moving from said brand to now where you are right now. And even at that point, we didn't even have opportunities to like jump into. Yeah. You've fallen in love with these brands. You've seen them grow. You've probably, it's like a baby. You've nurtured it. It started with an idea. Now we have wings. They're walking. You've left them in a place where they're now okay. Things are working. And then now you're told, actually, this child is going to the US and now will be, leave them.
Yeah, just like
how?
Wow.
Because from a POV of a marketer, us we are looking at, because for us we look at it as, oh my God, this partnership has ended. But for us, we are looking at it, and just to be honest, more often than not, we look at partnerships as a way of making money, as opposed to like an emotional connection to the brand. So when you lose a partnership, you're more so thinking about a way to replace the money that was being brought to the
life.
Yes, not necessarily, oh my God, this brand meant ABCD to me. But from a marketer's perspective, someone who has sat down to think of ways, influencers, things, activations to build this particular brand, and then you're told, actually now anymore, we don't need you, look for a job elsewhere.
Hey guys, wow. Hapa ndio tunafungua roho sana.
Because at that time I don't think it was.
And if I get emotional,
it's okay.
Just
it's okay.
Switch off your TV immediately, okay? Or switch off whatever device you're watching this
or listening on.
But okay, full context, full disclosure.
Yeah.
First things first. I worked for the organization for about 2.5 years, almost 3 years. Started off as a graduate trainee, essentially an intern, and graduated into the role that I was doing, which was a social media manager. And yeah, then halfway through, things change. The economic landscape is really different. It's ever changing. It's very dynamic at the moment. And yeah, so we're seeing a lot of corporate restructures, and that's essentially what happened. So I lost my job to retrenchment, and a bunch of us did. And as you said, it's definitely was so heartbreaking to have to think about, oh my God, because you sell your soul to the lifestyle.
Absolutely.
You sell your soul to the brands. You eat, think, breathe the brands and work, because ideally, like at the end of the day, also it's alcohol. You're constantly at this touch point because it's a lifestyle brand. Like we're out Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Like there are weeks that would look like that. So you end up having that as part of your lifestyle. Even in my friendship settings, it's like, oh my God, so what are we drinking? What are we having? What events is coming up? And like for that, when it becomes your lifestyle like that, when you're not able to distinguish work from life, friends, the grieving that you go through. I did not realize I was in grieving until I actually got another job this year. And unfortunately, because things just didn't work, the culture was not suitable for me. 3 months in, I chose to resign. I was like, wow, I am actually grieving. I am grieving a part of me that I so felt like was 99, okay, not 99, but 90% of you, because that's where you spend 22 hours of your day. Okay, not 22, but like
maybe 18.
18 hours of your day and 18 hours of your time in life each day. And I just didn't give myself, and that's why I go back to this whole conversation. When you're in a transition, give yourself the time to go through it intentionally. Think, reflect, everything in between. I took my career break, yes, for 2 or 3 months before I got now into the other role. But like, I didn't actually sit down to process what this meant. I didn't sit down to process how it means a change in lifestyle. It means a change in how I view work. I need to rewire and rethink what work means to me again. Because now this was work before was like we're doing it from a point of love, from a point of passion, yani, where it did not even feel like work. There are days where you're sleeping for 2-3 hours because you have come from what activation into the next day, into the office, and another activation. But you're doing it from a point of love and passion. You don't realize that like you're actually tired, but you're okay with it. Because now
it makes you happy.
Because it makes me happy. But now, so I went through that season without like realizing and acknowledging that I'm in such a depthful transition. I'm actually mourning, I'm grieving. And unfortunately, it made me go into this new role and like expect so much from that new role that was probably in my past, but that was unrealistic. But also it also allowed me the opportunity to sit down and really reflect and ask myself, what do you actually want from your career? What do you need from your career? And as I went through that journey, it also allowed me to shape like my 5-year plan. What's my actual 5-year plan? Resigning with no plan is crazy. It's a bit wild. Coming from corporate, in as much as I can survive on influencing, I'm like, the stability that having
a job,
a check coming to your account every 20 does to your life is that mental, you can't rewire. You can't rewire.
Absolutely.
So I think it's just really, it's been a lot of grieving and mourning. Even just seeing the brands and being like, damn, I'd really invested my life into them and I feel so sad.
We knew you because we knew the brands mainly because of you.
Bless.
Like,
Oh my God.
I can't mention them, but you know them, especially
actually wherever you are. If anybody from
any of those brands
watching,
like we knew them. We knew Trevor is in one or another. Even now, you're saying social media manager. Me, I was like, he's the head of department for marketing.
Oh my God!
Because we knew you as the umbrella. Who is calling us for the activation? Trevor. Who is at the activation itself? Trevor. Who's calling us for the payment? Trevor. Who's following? It is you. You're the heart and soul of these brands. So even me, when you told me about it, I was like, God. How is he? You know?
Yeah, I remember Steph was about to break down on my behalf. I was like, babe, it's okay. Then another thing about such things, you actually convince your brain otherwise. Because like me, the way I was going through it was that I was like, no, we're gonna be okay. Small, this is life. Things happen. You move. You can find another job. There are many jobs in the market. What you don't realize is that actually finding a job, if anything this season has taught me, is like a process. Number one, it's really a period of like 3 months to 6 months to find something that you're happy with, that you're willing to settle in.
And also the standards had been set quite high.
That was my first corporate job.
The standards, I don't think anyone has experienced corporate, and especially corporate that is tied to influencing in a way that you have.
It was a bit,
because it was such, you were getting everything. And I think your creativity was being filled into your creativity cup was being filled, but also your brain was being filled in a way. Also, there was an emotion aspect because I genuinely felt like in that office you guys were a family.
We were,
and even the way I was treated, and let me tell you guys, when I remember when we were signing out the second half of the contract, and I told Trevor, obviously there were budget constraints here and there, but I wanted more. But I was also happy with the amount that they were paying me. And I was like, so now I wanted to launch my website, I wanted to launch my book, and Trevor was like, don't worry, we are gonna sort that out for you. Guys, I will tell you right now that the launch of my book was 20% Stephanie Cherono and 80% Trevor Oisebe.
Well, Shivas.
You know what I mean? Shivas. Yeah. But like Shivas
and the powers that be.
Yes, and the powers that come with just being. And I remember even when I was pitching the idea, every single person that was involved in the boardroom was like, of course, babe, we can do this. Of course, we'll support you. You've done so well for the brand. And even me, I was sitting in disbelief thinking that these people want to bet on me when me, I'm not necessarily in believing of this thing is actually happening. They made it such a big deal. If you've seen the highlights of that event, I could never take that back. It was such a beautiful day for me. And to see a brand that would literally believe in your dream in that degree made me know that I have the capabilities of attracting anything. Yeah.
And I think, if anything, brands, this is, I think, what brands need to look into, how to build a personal relationship with the said influencer.
Yeah.
Because it's not just a partnership. You're giving your brand custody to this influencer to carry on and live on in the public, where they're meant to influence lifestyles, where they're meant to leave an impression, where ideally, in the grander scheme of things, it should now automatically translate into conversion. Because if anything, influencers are not salespeople.
Yes.
Please.
This is KPI for you to sell 20
awareness,
bottles. Yeah.
Brand awareness, brand connection, brand
visibility,
carrying brand equity and everything in between. That is what they are there for. Not and the grander scheme of things, yes, there should be conversion, but like at the core of it all, that is the first step. They're your human to the brand, because a lot of the times the brand is just a product, and then of course now the story that has been put behind the product, and then now you have this influencer who comes in and they now humanize it. Yeah, so I think it was just, you know, when you've created that, when you've built that relationship with someone, and that bond where it's like, yes, ni kazi, lakini ata bado, like this grander thing contributes to the work. It's like, it's so easy for organizations to say yes. It's very easy for organizations to say yes. You're a case study here, by the way. Actually, an influencer case study. Use her. Use me. But yeah, so anyway, we grieved, we mourned, resigned from that job, was out of work for 2 months, which, you know, God also has a way of doing things, because I think this year has opened up like different ways for me. Again, when you close doors, things open up. I never thought I would be in the world of consultancy. Like, I never thought that would be an option, but now I do consult beyond my 9 to 5. I actually consult, because now I'm currently working as well. I got a new job, so I'm in a 9 to 5, but then I also consult, and then of course there's influencing. So it's just opened up streams of income that I never thought would be possible, or like even just made me look at work from a different perspective. Like, don't sell your soul to work, like that, like have a life beyond work, which was not a thing to me, because how I started my career just told me, you know what, it's work, and then kidogo life and kidogo play. But now I'm in the opportunity, I have the opportunity to sit down and be like, I'm very clear, distinct. When it reaches a certain time, I'm out. It is my time for life. Yeah, it's my time to be a rat in the streets. It's my time to be the star actor, the real hostages of good times, and without having to think about work. So yeah. So I think, all that said, how ugly it was, so defining, and that's what for me I really enjoy in life. It's like, yes, it was ugly. Yes, it was unbearable. Yes, it was tears. Yes, it was sorrows. Sorrows, prayers. But the most important thing is that you redefined yourself. You created deeper depth, if that's even a word, to yourself. And like, now you can exist better. I can work towards my 5-year plan in a more... And now you even have the 5-year plan that you didn't before. Which, by the way, before it was just like, my vibes too. To come up and enjoy. Let's go. Let's go to Dubai and shake our asses in a yacht on a song. Because one thing about Trevor Oisebe is gonna go to Dubai. I'm gonna go to Dubai. Hey, I'm due. In fact, this year my body is trembling. It's like I'm losing blood and sleep. As a matter of fact, I've not breathed. I've not had a sense of Dubai in my system. But I know that even in the process of grieving, I'm sure you had to, in a one way or another, go to therapy. Oh, yeah. How was therapy? Therapy was different. Had you ever been to therapy before? Yes. Okay. I've been to therapy on and off. Now that's the unfortunate thing, but I think also that's just so normal. It's very normal. Like, sometimes you fix me and then I'm like, or other times it's like, you've brought up this conversation and it's too hard to have. Try again next time. Yeah, I'm gonna head out. Catch me next time. Yeah. No managitory sana. So yeah. Actually, this took me back to therapy, because I'd actually run away from therapy. As a matter of fact, last year, they brought up a conversation about childhood trauma. I said, babes. Sorry? I'm going to be right back. We don't do that here. Skedaddled, and I didn't go back. Like, I was not in therapy for 8 months last year. Because it started, we had the conversation sometime in April. And then you were like, sorry. You want to drag me through the mud? I'm not ready. So then now I had to go back to therapy, because I had a lot more time on my hands. And you know when you have time on your hands, you will think. You have time in your head. And your thoughts will do for you. You go get the pole. Then you are going there. So it was a war zone. So I just had to get back to therapy, so that somebody could just calm down those thoughts and help me sort them one by one. How was that? Fantastic. Because what I always say is that whenever you go back to therapy after not being in therapy, there's a different level of intentionality that you show up with. There's a different level of how you do the homework. That is so like there's a growth point from the last time, because then now you see the value. You've missed the value for so long.
And
so when
then,
you go back, you're like, hey, and this thing is serious. It's no jokes. So let me be serious about it. So I think I was very intentional about it, and it really healed me. Especially after my resignation, which was now where my breaking point was. Because at some point this year, I was like, what the hell is going on? And who has my
voodoo doll? Return it.
Because
please return, wrap it up.
And actually, my Natasha, who is my soulmate, hates me saying that, because she's like, first of all, that's not a concept. Secondly, don't even wish that upon your life. But yeah, anyway,
because words genuinely carry so much weight.
They carry so much.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just felt like, oh my God, Trevor, everything is just not making sense. But like, it's gonna make sense. And it's just that faith of it's gonna make sense. Again, also another big anchor this year, which really, it's been God. And I think that's one thing that I am so grateful for. Every opportunity where you're in the gutter or in your most beautiful moments is also like an opportunity for you to shine with your relationship with God. And I've experienced that this year. So therapy was great. I'm healed. I would not like to say I'm healed, because we're never healed. We're all just walking trauma. And then something
else will come to you.
Something else will come. Because either you have blocked something that happened in childhood, or some human being, somebody's child just comes and decides
to discombobulate your life.
It's
like, I'm going to teach you El Kidogo, you're in the gutters.
In the gutter. As in, where it's like people sit down and then they're like, where unakaka, you need some character development.
A little bit. Your life looks boring. Let me show you.
It's a bit wild.
And I think that also just messes up with like our trust. But also I think at the end of the day, and someone told me this recently, it's like our generation is in a generation that, number one, does not take shit. Yes. We genuinely don't take shit, but also we are very vocal in our relationships, in our friendships, in our career. When people say, oh my God, I'm a Gen Z, Gen Zs don't like to take responsibilities. When it's too much, they leave. No, because we've grown up in a society where our parents stayed in the unhealthy marriages. Our parents stayed in the jobs that don't underpay us. Our parents stayed in relationships with even family that have treated us like shit. And us, we've decided to be more vocal about the things that work for us and the things that don't work for us. And that means we are willing to let go of this, maybe so that in that moment, great opportunities to allow ourselves to experience more, because we know deep down we deserve better. I think it's a self-talk that changes between generations, because they genuinely in that time maybe did not think they were deserving of greater love, a better marriage, a better job. But as we're in a space of abundance. I think
as a matter of fact, have you ever considered being a therapist?
Oh, yes. I'm going to retire as a therapist.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
In my
see, 50s. Gen Zs are generational wealth people. Like, that's such a beautiful. Who would have ever thought to sit down and say that's a retirement plan?
For me, I think in my 50s,
that is so hot.
In my 50s, because and I tell this to people all the time. I think that is one of the most fulfilling way to end your life. If I told that's the tale of my life that is going to end, it is in a way to give back to the people that potentially would need my help in that season. So I will give of myself right now when I'm healthy and I'm functional. I'm big batty girl. You understand, small waist and stuff. I will show up in these opportunities now. But I think what I will have learned through the many different phases of life will be impactful for a generation thereafter. The wisdom that I will have. I don't think I'm viable to be a therapist now. I am actually, but I think in the 50s, once our generation has changed, we become parents, we become grandparents. The world has changed, we've developed. The value that I'll be able to give to the generation of that time who are in their 20s, 19, figuring out, will be more valuable than what I have to give now. So it's my retirement plan. I actually went to do my master's in psychology, so that can be something I practice thereafter.
One thing about Steph, she's it's forever. There's always an opportunity.
There's always a plan.
There's always a plan. There's always an opportunity. It's not all said and done until it's all said and done. Wow, that's so nice. That just reminds me you haven't done all you need to do in this world. Continue pushing.
Even the other day I was talking, even with Aaron just earlier, we were talking about, the way we've been tailor-made to think that our life should be here. Yes. You go to school here, you get married here, you have kids here, you never leave the world. But I'm like, what if part of our journey, part of our purpose exists in a different country, exists in a different state, exists in a different, continent, and we are here trying to make this path, yet there's a gap of like 4 years where you need to be in another space, then you come back and implement the experience that you've had to people back home. Because I always believe home is best. I always believe there's so much purpose in pouring back into where you've come from and where you've grew up. But also I think part of us would thrive, a majority of us would thrive in impacting our or just making our presence known in other spaces.
People's lives.
Yeah.
Because you never know what that's one thing that you say to another person.
Yeah,
does
you
for their
never
life.
know.
Yeah. I love it. Absolutely love it. I'm wishing you. That's our perfect retirement plan. Even me. But
I know.
That's a more Kenya, by the way. If I go and do the same thing,
how do you keep up, Trevor? Because I think you're also just I think you're the source of joy for so many people. What's your source of joy?
My source of joy is being the source of joy
for other people.
I actually,
that might be your purpose, actually.
In
a way.
See, now she will become a life coach. It's never ending.
Because the other day I realized that purpose may not necessarily be anything monetary, but it can also be a feeling.
So true. Yeah. Actually, by the way, because I
automatically feel at peace and at joy when we see you.
Oh my God.
And I know all my friends will say, all your friends would say the same thing. People even on social media would say the same thing.
Oh my gosh.
Like your content, your aura, your energy.
Can somebody cut the cameras before Nyanza Kulia?
I genuinely think that can actually...
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I genuinely think for me, it's just that... And this again comes from a point of... I would put it as trauma. I experienced... so much bullying in primary school. And that really took me through a season of oh my God, I feel alone. It was really tough. It was depression, it was anxiety. And at that point, you don't know those, that's what they are called. But you're just experiencing it. And then even just crazy, to the point where it was suicidal ideation, suicidal thoughts. And for that the minute I clocked that you don't owe an explanation to anyone, but you also just owe yourself your truth. That is the minute I just said, you know what?
I'm gonna live in
For me, I'm gonna live in my truth, number one, but also number two, most importantly, I'm gonna show up the way I want to show up, and that is going to be my purpose. And I feel for me that has always been the thing. Even in fact, when I hear and funny enough, because of the trauma that I underwent as a child, I have really blocked off a lot of my childhood memories. When I'm in a therapy session and I'm being asked questions, I'm usually by the way, let me answer that question on Monday, because I don't actually remember because I've selectively blocked it off because of the trauma that it carries. But even when I hear my family explaining how I was as a child or how I was when I was younger, I'm okay, actually this has just always been me. So why not live in that truth? And that's what I've chosen to do. That is the one agenda that I've said nobody will ever steal from me. That is my one spark in this life. Even if I am jobless, toothless, whatever the case is, at least let me at least smile and make you laugh as a kibogoyo. It's okay. It's fine.
Because that is, generally I feel that falls under your purpose. Because even in that office that you were in, were you not the one who brought the vibes? Even in this particular office, are you not... The constant has been that you're a source of joy regardless of what roles you're playing in any institution. And also in our friendship, it is we want to go where Trevor Oisebe is. That's where the party is, fam. You understand?
No,
that's
but
where the vibes
also,
are.
Now that you've said that, now I'm thinking yes, in as much as I get that joy from also bringing the joy, I also really, I've realized as I've grown older, a lot of what I've done is I've allowed for myself to express how I would like people to show up for me, how I would people to exist in my life, and also just let them still nonetheless exist as them. So everything just flows naturally. But then, of course, in life you also have expectations, kidogo. So sometimes things are hard, but I think that's the whole idea of life.
And I believe that you communicate very well as well. You're a great communicator. You articulate your feelings, your emotions, your expectations in such a nice demure way. You're demure.
Demure sana.
So how do you feel after this conversation?
I feel I've kind of gone to a therapy session. This is giving different setting. Think about it in a different lens, but it's giving blue therapy.
It is, but no, we're not in a
100%,
toxic
but we're not in a
relationship.
toxic relationship.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's. I feel like I was in a therapy session. It just felt nice to talk,
I love
especially
that.
after a long work day.
Yeah, it's like a nice release.
A nice release, and it's always so nice to talk to you.
Oh.
That way.
Oh, I love that.
Like it's like when you talk to Steph, you just feel like a wholesome sense. The other day, actually, Kenna and I were just like, oh my god, Steph is just so nice to talk to. Like, you just want to sit there and listen to what you have to say. Also, because you're such a powerhouse. So a lot of the times when you're speaking, you're really speaking life and like such strong perspective, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful to listen. Yeah.
Because I genuinely I find joy in pouring into people.
Oh.
Yeah.
And keep it that way. Keep that fire burning that way.
I love that.
Yeah.
What
So by the time you're getting there to your retirement plan,
hey, you have to sign. You come and you bring your children to me as their therapist.
Actually, what category of therapy do you think you would do?
I think honestly, it's the type of therapy that I'm receiving. I think for my generation, I don't think I'll have the emotional capacity to deal with like family therapy, because I think even in my 50s, I'll still be dealing with the things that I may have experienced. But also, who knows? Maybe I would have completely healed from that. Yeah. And because of my experience, I would actually be best to talk about that. But I'm open. I'm open to dealing with the kids. I'm open to dealing with the families, the marriages. I'm open because I think even in my current journey, my siblings are married. I'm also experiencing friends and families and people in my life who I'm stepping into the marriage era, having kids era. And I think because by extension, I'm learning a few things from them and I'm gaining insight from their experiences. And through that, I'm also determining what I want my marriage, my future to look like. Yeah. And I think I will have, a part to play in regards to like the information that I share. Yeah.
That's nice.
That would be nice.
There's no need to also box yourself.
Yeah. Just I'm like, eventually if we end up like settling for marriage, fine. If you're not settling for like child therapy, fine. If you're not settling for, family therapy, I'm okay with either because at the end of the day, I'm also very open-minded in regards to like solutions. I don't box myself in thinking this is the only place I can provide solutions from. I think I can be able to morph into whatever because I also stay teachable. Yeah. So again, maybe in that season I'll be taught something and I will use it in the future. Yeah.
As you're there with two teeth.
Exactly. Hopefully I'll have what do you call them? Veneers. Because I'll be a rich bitch.
Wealthy bitch.
Yeah.
Not rich, wealthy.
Generational type
generational
of wealth. Exactly. Yeah. What are we expecting from you in this season? And coming into the new year. Has your frontal lobe fully developed?
Hey baby, it's twanga in me. The development. I wanted to turn 25, but personally, me Nishukishe. I mark me up saying, take me off the register. By the way, babe, this
people don't tell you.
It's been a difficult year. Like, you think about everything so deeply.
Very.
Yesterday, I was sat in the car. I'm like, hey, I'm late. It's 9:15. I should be in the office by 9. And then I'm like, now I have to wait another 5 minutes until the car warms up. So I started thinking about the whole concept of time and how, like, in general, we're not so intentional about how we spend our... Because 5 minutes earlier would have made such a big difference.
Absolutely.
I was like,
you think
this
so
is
deeply.
The frontal lobe.
You think so deep. Every single thing carries so much emotion once you turn.
But what are you expecting from me? A more balanced Trev. I think that was my word for the year, actually, balance. So balance in all aspects of life. And I think I've seen that. It's come slowly, it's come brutally, it's come differently as from what I expected it to be and to look like. But balance. I'm more balanced Trev. A Trev who is, a rat in the streets, a
freak in the sheets.
Prayer warrior.
Yeah. All of them.
Corporate baddie, standing on business, everything in between.
Yeah.
And also just like a happier Trev.
Yeah.
Like I just want to be happier. I want to like invest in my content a lot more.
Yeah.
I want to like balance out between consultancy and my 9 to 5. And I'm also just like investing in my community and spending a lot of time, which I'm so happy that I've gotten to do that this year. Yeah. Like this year I've balanced out, I've reinvested in my friendships and I'm happy about that. So just I'm more balanced Trev and a happier Trev. Standing on business.
Yeah. I think also you'd do well if you had a YouTube channel. Please consider it. Yeah.
I actually really would love to for the vlogging aspect.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like I think the way you capture even your day, even just your mini vlogs. I think your life...
Actually.
Yeah, your life is very eventful, but also...
Secret Santa is around the corner.
Yeah. DJI Osmo Pocket 3.
Vlog camera.
If you are taking this man on a date after this, and you know yourself, please can you buy him a DJI Osmo Pocket 3, 4K stroke 120 MPS. We are not joking about this shit. You understand? Like, we want the best quality. So once he joins, we get the best experience. And we're not settling for nothing else.
And you know what's crazy? But I hope you've had loud and clear. Oh, she can please. But you know what's crazy? I actually used to have a YouTube channel.
Please, revive it.
I need to just revive it. But yeah, I would really want to do vlogging. But where we're... Come out
add value to my life. I'm out, okay.
About you exit. Yeah. You're not seeing they're serious.
Serious.
Gods.
Yeah. Where can we find you on the socials?
Where can you find me on the socials? Trevor Oisebe on TikTok, Trevor Oisebe on IG. Just go by my government name, which is dangerous, by the way.
But it's okay. I think you get what you get.
You get what you get, because at least I don't really, like, there's no difference in my life on social and in
social
person.
media. Yeah. I believe that.
Yeah, there's no difference. But and you, what are we expecting from you?
I'm getting into production, so we're expecting products.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, this has been a long time coming.
Yeah, it has.
Hey, Steph, every year something new, something better, another banger.
Another banger.
I love it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here, my love.
Thank you as well. Thank you for having me.
As colorful and as vibrant as ever.
Well. Yeah. Come on. Representation.
Absolutely.
Representation
this is his personality.
Actually. It's giving clown, but it's also giving personality.
I love that. Okay, great. This is an amazing conversation. I really enjoyed it. I'm glad it went as smoothly. To allow yourself to also be yourself. This is a safe space, and you're welcome to always come back. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
This is so nice. And with that, can I do the...
Wait. Yeah. So, if you've enjoyed and got into this part of the video, thank you so much. We really appreciate you taking the time to watch, listen, and just share this experience with us. If you did like it, please subscribe. Please follow us on all our podcast platforms. And don't forget to share this with a friend or two. And keep it heart to mic. Thank you. Cut!
That's the ending.